Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to a capsule selection. Today, we're going to dive into a great list, a great profile, one for me that is truly synonymous when it comes to the spring temperatures here in Southeast Michigan. I hope that you are receiving this video well in the springtime so that you have an opportunity to go out and test some of these fragrances to see what they really do feel like in the spring weather. We're going to talk about the Fougere legacy. For me, that's one that has come about in my maturation as a man, from my mentorships as a child. The men that wore these particular scent profiles, they really made a mark on me. And so throughout my life, I've strove to have these type of scent profiles in my collection. So when I mentor young men and I talk to young men about fragrances, and I talk to you guys here on fragrances, I want to talk about the coexistence of the masculinity and the Fougere. There's something about the undeniable scent of a Fougere. It's the scent that can command attention, and it has a lot of presence to it. It's for a man who owns everything in his basket, his wheelhouse. He knows what he is, he knows what he wants, and he knows that his worth and just abilities to be someone doesn't have to be something that he shouts, because he's always heard. And these scents, basically, they aren't about fleeting trends or just disposable freshness, so to speak. And I know that a lot of times with young men, we get these fragrances in our collections and we have these Axe body sprays and things like that. I can really show you a list here that will really talk about the legacy of the Fougere and how fresh it can be and come off as a youthful fragrance, something not as just for mature men of the age of 45 and over, but something that really can be poignant for you young men watching this channel today. The Fougere have been the olfactory signature of a gentleman for centuries, and today we're going to talk about the refinement of that tradition for us modern men and modern young men. So if this sounds like the type of content that you think you'll enjoy, you pull up a seat, pour a glass, and of course, let's enhance. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dry Down, the lifestyle channel where we as enthusiasts aspire to enhance and elevate our olfactive sensory experiences through the understanding of the different aromas, facets, and nuances of scent, cigars, and wines. I'm your host, Chris. Welcome to today's experience. So through the understanding that we're going to talk about today, these are fragrances, the Fougere fragrances, that I really do enjoy. We will talk about the experience of the fern essence and how this came about. Fougeres, they aren't just another decent part of the fragrance game. These are the backbone and classic masculine perfumery that really make the backbone of masculine fragrances. The ones that we'll discuss today, they bring something extra. They are refined, confident, and undeniably commanding while still carrying that fresh herbal crispness that makes Fougeres kings of spring. I'm going to introduce 10, maybe 11 fragrances. I might have an honorable mention or so. But the fragrance breakdown, these are power players. They are players for spring, and I think that we should all have these in our particular wardrobe. Each fragrance in this list has been selected because of its elevated Fougere DNA that in something truly special about it. Whether through the oriental warmth of one, like I stated, or the touch of floral refinement, or even a bold green crispness, these fragrances bring sophistication and presence to any spring occasion. First, I want to introduce you to one that's a very niche brand from Meo Fusciuni. This is Spirito. I think it's a gem in the community. So when it comes to Spirito, this is one who will reach this. I'll say this, intriguing as it was when I sampled this one, and intriguing as it is as a spring wear, this is a Fougere that is reimagined through the dark lens of a Fougere. It's a more introspective lens in which Meo Fusciuni made this particular scent profile. It's one that I truly enjoy. Truly, with all its uniqueness. It's so green, so woody, but that dark edge of almost like an incense is inside of it. But I don't think incense is inside this note structure. I know it's some very peculiar notes like papyrus and hyssop is in this, and that's what made me gravitate toward this one, being one that I had never smelled some of these notes when testing, and the way it flourished on my skin. So think of this one as I would say the classic leaning Fougere, very much so in the bag of the 80s gentleman, the 80s powerhouse gentleman like Gordon Gekko. This is the type of fragrance that he would wear every day to work. Very expensive smelling fragrance, very luxurious smelling fragrance. It's a structure that is wrapped in smoky resins and deep meditative woods, and that is exactly what you get from an 80s powerhouse fragrance that they have represented in Spirito. This one, to me, as a Fougere, It's mysterious, it's alluring, and it carries an undeniable artistic depth that I think everyone who is into the art of perfumery will love. So if you want a fougère that leans into the poetic side of masculinity, very much so, this is the one for you. Spirito is the fragrance that you need to get on your list profile for a sample of. A very unique house, very wonderful take on an Italian brand that brings forth a very artistic view of every fragrance that they have on the market. Many of you have heard of this. The one I'm seeking to get next from this house is Odor 93. But Spirito was the first I had to have because of its fougère essence and way I love to wear these in spring and even going into the summertime weather. This one here, perfect for 2 seasons, maybe 3. I wouldn't wear this one in fall. Not so much because of it's not ready for that one, but because I want this one to introduce me to spring. I want to forever have that memory and introduction to spring with the fragrance like this one. So once again, that is Spirito from Meo Fusciuni. Next up, as we start to deliver on this olfactory journey, Tom Ford delivers one that is a masterclass in refinement. This is the private blend edition, not the signature edition. I do understand that these have 2 different note structures. I do know that they have a similar scent profile, but this one has a little bit more depth to it. I want to introduce you to this one because there are some still in the market available if you look hard enough. Now, the Beau that you know of in the actual signature bottle, it is a phenomenal wearing scent. So as I introduce this one to you, I want you to know that you can go out and get the similar scent profile while still have such a luxurious scent that it will not go without being touched on as a compliment style of fragrance. And as I get into this one, I'm going to talk about how Beau is a lavender forward fragrance, but it's layered with rosemary, patchouli, and a beautiful oat moss that has the perfect balance of cleanness and intrigue. That's the beauty about this one. It's for the ultimate effortlessly put together scent profile of a tailored blazer that fits just right on a gentleman. Something that I truly love about this one is the way that it has great sillage or projection as a fougère. The lavender in this one, so clean, so beautiful, but still has a great amount of depth. You can tell that it's an aromatic lavender and a Provençal lavender. And I love to touch on what it is to have a Provençal lavender in your collection, because that's the sweet lavender that often attracts the feminine nose, because it's a clean scent while still having some sweetness to it, almost like an ambery scent. Also, this does have an ambery feel to it. It has a little bit of a leather take to it. And it just, at the end of the day, is a calling card for a gentleman fragrance. You don't have to go with too many sprays, especially for this private blend formula. But when you do, it's one that just lasts on the skin. It just exudes confidence. This is the actual 3-piece suit or a double-breasted wide peak lapel, very well tailored blazer type of scent profile that comes from Beau de Jour. I would say that this is one that I would even wear with something like a tasseled loafer, or even a nice penny loafer with this one. Something very streamlined in its new modern take of the leather shoes. Not something that I would take very rounded almond toe, but something with an elongated toe, chiseled toe. Something to push the level of refinement with a broken suit. Even I would do a broken suit with this one to make it come off well, saying like a 3-piece suit, blue with the gray pinstripe and the gray waistcoat, and then with a nice little deep purple tie and white shirt, killing it. That's what this type of scent is calling to me in my mind state right now, how to put this one together. Just a beautiful fragrance all in all. This is Beau de Jour by the house of Tom Ford. All right, fellas, let's dive into this Tom Ford fragrance. We're going to keep it brief going forward. We're just going to talk about what it is that these fragrances really exude and how to get it across to you gentlemen is something that you need and should try as you're looking for fougère fragrances. So while Beau de Jour was a classic barbershop style fougère to me and is, Fougere Platine takes the concept and modernizing it with a rich, almost metallic sheen and tobacco essence. It's fresher, it's sharper, and it carries an undercurrent of cool confidence that you want in a fragrance that you're looking for, with this idea type of concept of a man who commands attention without demanding it. That's what I love to state, because that's what makes us men. When you walk into a room and your confidence shows, when you walk into a room and your command shows, you don't have to scream it, you don't have to shout it, you don't have to even take into account that men and women don't see that in you, because you know that when you carry that into a room, it is present. A scent like Fougere Platine really is a calling card for that type of essence. Like I stated, fresher, cleaner, wraps itself in a little more warmth of the amber take, but nothing that is deep and rich outside of the tobacco note, which really does carry the scent. And this is one of the fragrances that I want to speak on in my Spring 25 Power Presence list, because when you wear a tobacco fragrance in the spring, you always expect it to come off very sweet, almost like this candy gourmand style of fragrance. And that is so far from this one. The way that they took command of the tobacco in this one and made the profile very accepting, has this mint profile to it as well, this basil mint. One of the best. It is a very truly synonymous with gentlemen in the spring when you talk about Fougere Platine. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the scent Histoires de Parfums 1725. This one here is elegance in the bottle. That's simply what it is. It is a very truly sexy and seductive scent that is very much so inspired by the namesake in this particular scent, which is known as Casanova. Rightly so. It is smooth, it is charismatic, and it is effortlessly seductive. The blend of lavender, vanilla, and tonka bean give it its Fougere essence, while you have this beautiful essence of almond that gives it its edge and intrigue. It makes it a very refined and approachable scent for the modern gentleman. And this is what I talked about for my young men. When you're 25 years old, find yourself towards this 1725 Casanova if you can. It's a very affordable, luxury, niche fragrance that I know at your age range, young men coming out of college, going into the realm of wanting to be clean, wanting to wear suits, wanting to wear attire that is very much so elevated. If you get your nose on 1725 and you let the loved ones around you, meaning your ladies, she's going to love this particular scent. She is very much so going to be attracted to this one because it has that cleanness that reminds her of a man, and it also has some sweetness that she enjoys in the fragrance that this has. Calling card 1725 Casanova is for you young gentlemen. Get your nose on it. Next up, let's talk about Masculin Pluriel by Massey versus Kurkdjian. Kurkdjian, he does Fougere as well, in my opinion. This one here is a Fougere that takes the genre in a seamless manner. It's polished and it's dynamic. Heart of lavender and vetiver that feels almost airy but grounded in deep woods and leather-like facets that create a very beautiful and great amount of depth in a sophisticated and undeniably masculine fragrance. It's an easy choice for any man with a signature scent search. This one here, if you are a man, I would say not so much the 25-year-old. You can pull it off, but I think the gentleman 30 and up is more going to find more satisfaction in this particular scent profile. It's very deep and rich in the way he used this lavender and leather. Now, when I say the 25 and up, you can, as I stated, pull it off. And even if I smell it now, I will reach in my bag to bring it down to about 27 years old, because that's when you're starting to reach your stride in your career. You're making choices, you're developing many contacts, you're building all of your buckets of assets. And this one fragrance here is one of those things that very much so, I think, can be an asset to you when it comes to having business meetings and working in the office space, and also something that is of a masculine fragrance that the feminine nose will feel comfortable around. Like I said, sophisticated. You know, Mason versus Kurkdjian has a hard time making fragrances that don't smell good. They may not always be most dynamic, but they very much so smell good. And this is one of his classic fragrances that is, like I stated, undeniably masculine and an easy choice for a signature scent. Get your nose on this one, guys. Next up, how can I leave a scent like this off the list? This is the Noble Collection Cypress from Clive Christian, and it is one of the best quote-unquote barbershop style Fougeres in the game. I know many people push back against what Clive Christian puts in the market. I am not one of those. I think that Clive Christian does a phenomenal job in a lot of his fragrances, and if you don't feel like paying the price point for these particular scents, just wait for it to go into the gray market. They often arrive within 1 or 2 years of being brought to market, and that's as long as you don't have to wait too much. 2 years is nothing in this game. Find yourself a bottle of Cypress. This is the backbone fragrance to this particular list. It is a fragrance that gives a great amount of woody, beautiful elegance to a fragrance profile. The citrus in this one, the amber in this one, the actual feel of the petitgrain in this one is luxurious feeling, and it is one that has the great amount of crispness and freshness to it on this list. But the overall experience is one that's timeless refinement. That's basically what you get out of this one. This is a power scent for the man who values classicalism. If you are a man who loves to wear the dapper suits, the dandy suits, one who moves through the modern world with ease, that's this type of scent. You can wear this, I would even say, no doubt about it. This is a white t-shirt classified fragrance, and it is a gorgeous one. Like I said, barbershop. You come in fresh and clean out the barbershop. It has a little bit of powderiness to it. It has a little bit of that feel of lavenders and sage and things that come from a refined British house. Clive Christian, Cypress, is a beautiful, beautiful ambery fougere that I think all you guys would be remiss if you did not get your nose on if you're looking to make a statement in the fougere range of fragrances. This is one that is very, very nicely done. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about one of my, I would say, top 30 fragrances of all time right now. I know that's a push to go into a top 30 realm. I should do a top 50 sometime. This is Isar, and this is from the house Dusita, a very much so indie fragrance house that I truly adore many of the fragrances that this house makes. Very much so beautifully constructed, high quality oils, great amount of presence, great amount of sillage and projection from the performance side, and the uniqueness of the particular scents that come from this house are great. I would say with this one, imagine stepping into a crisp pine forest that has just had a rain, and it captures that natural scent perfectly. It's invigorating energy inside of this one, and it's very smooth. This is the most smooth fougere that I've ever smelled, and I think that is because of the mix of the creamy tonka bean and herbal depth that she put inside this, and also a tobacco blossom. That tobacco blossom is one thing that really, really turns this fougere upside down on its head. It's very much so different from the Fougere Platine in the way that it comes off. This one, just sexy. It's straight form, so no, it's not the biggest of push, but it has a presence, but it stays on the skin as well. It's very, very calming, sexy, and seductive. And I think of all these, that once a woman smells this on your skin, you will be the calling card for her late night rendezvous, because this is one of those scents. If she really enjoys your company and really likes the way you move and vibe, and she smells this on you, she will not be disappointed by this scent profile. Sexy, seductive tobacco fougere is exactly what this is, and I think, like I said, very polished, very polished, undeniably sweet, warm, sexy fougere that I think is appreciative to all noses, especially the feminine. Get your nose on Dusita's Isara. Very beautiful scent profile. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we got one of my favorite Roger Parfums fougères. This is the scent Scandal Parome, and this is the Parfum edition. This is one that has an interpretation of a fougere in a masterpiece form. Roger knows how to make masterpieces, or what we state as masterpieces for our collection. He's one of those noses that I really truly enjoy how his scent profiles come off. He doesn't come off as super, I won't say he doesn't come off as inauthentic. He comes off like he takes, as we all know, profiles that are somewhat in the market today and just elevates them. And that's all I'm trying to say. This man makes some very beautiful fragrances that really capture my nose. And yes, some of these profiles are scents that I've smelled in the past, but of the higher quality, longer existence on my skin, development is there, the odor is there, like everything about the fragrance. If it's not an original, it is something of an uptick in level of the actual execution of the fragrance. And so for me, this one is rich and opulent and packed with complexity when it comes to a citrus, lavender, and tarragon fragrance. The base of oak, moss, and woods, it makes it a fragrance that is really about business. So if you want to make a presence, if you want to exude quiet confidence, you go and get the one that delivers most, and that is Scandal Parfum from the house of Roger Parfums. Next up, we're going to see what another one carries today when it comes to Roger. So where Scandal is refined, dangerous, seductive, simply, the scent takes the fougere and wraps it in a central warmth that I love about it. I would say think amber, vanilla, and spices, giving it this irresistible yet magnetism that you won't be mad at having on your skin. The scent of a man who knows exactly what he wants is what this is. I think that when you wear this particular scent, it has some nuances of heritage from Guerlain, and if you like heritage, this puts heritage into another level. I would say if you think heritage is a 7 or 8, this makes this a 10, because this beautiful profile and the way it comes off on the skin, the spiciness of the, almost like a coumarin and cumin. So you got tonka sweetness and cumin spices in this one, very much so. That almost sweaty type of scent profile, but it's sexy under that spicy aromatic feel of a fougere. And it's not one to play games with. The name is apropos. It is a dangerous scent. Many, many women have given me compliments on this particular scent profile over the years. If not wearing heritage, it's been wearing danger. This is one I think you get your nose on, especially if you're Unlike Scandal, I think Scandal you can be in your 20s, 23, 24, 25. If you would like to wear Elysium, you can kind of lean towards Scandal as your next purchase from the Roja house. It's got that same similar DNA profile of a lemony fresh Fougere. Danger though. Dangerous for that 27, 33 range and up. This is what you want your profile with that. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Henry Jacques. Henry Jacques, if you are a person who watches my videos, you've seen my first impression of the house, and you also have seen maybe my short about me getting this and introducing it to you guys this coming week or in a video. This is the scent Monsieur Bouquet, and Monsieur Bouquet comes in a beautiful magnetized hard cardboard box. And what we have here is the attar form in 15 ml. I've worn this throughout 3 or 4 days in a row now. Very much so enjoying this scent profile. The name comes on the bottom of these. Very nicely done crystal. This is not glass, or at least I would not think this is glass. It feels like a well-formed crystal. If you could see that there. Very nicely done scent profile. So what this is, when it comes to Henry Jacques, this is the hidden gem of high perfumery for me. This is one that almost has that bespoke elegance without going to bespoke price range, so to speak. Very high in its price range, of course, but when it comes to what it is to have a bespoke scent, if you want one of those can go into the ranges of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 if you go to a reputable perfume house that makes a scent just for you. Monsieur Bouquet is a fragrance that I had never smelled before in its essence as a fougere. I have searched far and wide for many of the best fougères on the market. That's why you see such an eclectic list here. When it comes to aromatic herbs and creamy woods, this one here is refined to its best and perfection. It is one for the collector, the connoisseur, who wants something in their actual wardrobe that everyone will appreciate. It has the best smelling florals. It has some of the best smelling citruses, and the wood content and spices on this one are just phenomenal. The cinnamon in this one, it is impeccably done. This is basically the pinnacle of refinement. So I was going to just make some statements, but I'll say about this. Let's give this a full insight. This is a fragrance that is one that can define the category to me. And then, there are fragrances that try to define a category. That existence of those is truly put into check, because this one is almost one that rises above that, so to speak. To me, this is untouchable in comparison to many of these fragrances in this list I just gave you. Henry Jacques is a beautiful scent profile. So when it comes to thinking about the existence of a beautiful fougere, a spicy, woody, oriental fougere, this is the pinnacle for me. This is not your standard luxury house. I will say that again. This is one that operates on a different level. A crafting of bespoke and highly exclusive fragrances is what this actual house does. For those who truly understand what that means, this means that you get artistry behind each scent. We're talking about basically a house that just is about details, down to the choice of raw materials. It is one of those houses that is treated with almost like a sacred reverence when you think about what they bring in and put out as a fragrance into the market. They're not one to soil their reputation, or even come with fragrances do not have a great amount of depth and longevity. So this, to me, quite honestly could be their masterpiece in their fragrance profile, at least for me. There are some others that I'm interested in, but for me, this is the one I had to choose. This fragrance isn't just another style of fougere. It is one fougere that would be, if you strip down all the commercial expectations of a design solely for scent that goes to the elite, the few who demand the very best, it is that. It takes the classic structure of aromatic herbs, it takes the classic structure of smooth woods and refined citruses, but it elevates every aspect of those to a near bespoke smell and elevation of perfection. I love the way this one actually smells. The fragrance is fit for a bespoke lifestyle, so to speak, and that's exactly why I put my purchase power behind it. So if you're a person, as I talk about this, I will say, picture this. You're seated in a private lounge. You're surrounded by the soft glow of candlelight. It's reflecting off the hand woven and stitched leather surfaces and facets around you. The wood veneers, the vintage Patek Philippe rest on your wrist, and your hand is just this beautiful crystal tumbler with something rare, perhaps like a 50-year-old Armagnac that just only select a few have the privilege of tasting. That's what this is. The air is thick. The expectations that you have around you are wide and far, yet you exude this confidence with effortlessness because you know that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. That's this scent profile when you pick this up and put it on your skin. This is, and that is Monsieur Bouquet. It opens very beautiful with a whisper of citruses, not bright, not sharp, but just restaged, kind of like refrained and restrained with a polished, like the first sip of a fine champagne, so to speak. The level of lavender in this one here is smooth. It's never harsh when you wear it on your skin. It's blending seamlessly also with the finest of woods in the base of this one that just make it come off so sumptuous and elegant. The tonkas slash coumarin, the tonka coumarin in this one, along with the oat moss. I do believe they're a French company, and I do believe that they can honestly use real oat moss because the scent profile has that animalic growl of a real oat moss that you would remember from the past if you're old enough. But there's something of a hidden layer in this as well. There's something almost intangible that sets this one apart for me. This is a fragrance that has a certain opulence that only comes from ingredients sourced without compromise, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you as well. This was not a whim purchase. This was something well thought out, well calculated. And for me, whereas other fougères on this list, they deliver power, they deliver presence, and they deliver a well-refined masculinity, Monsieur Bouquet does something more. To me, it speaks of a status that I truly adore. It's the scent that of someone who operates at the highest level and who appreciates the craftsmanship and luxury and legacy and exclusivity in certain things. And that's why this fragrance is just on this list and is the one that is the pinnacle of this list and made it well worth it as a purchase to me. And that is my statement behind Monsieur Bouquet by the House of Henry Jacques. Beautiful, beautiful fougère fragrance. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that for me, fougères has always been a blueprint of masculinity in fragrances for me. But these are for men who understand that refinement is power. They take a classic structure and transform it into something dynamic, something modern, and something truly unforgettable. I wanted to present this list to you because of that. So think about the things I always say about fragrances and how I try to encapsulate those with a story behind it and understand what I was telling you in this particular list profile. If you found anything educational and entertaining about this particular list, all I ever ask that you do is hit the like button and subscribe. And I want you to remember that, gentlemen, scent is memory, collecting is legacy, and community is culture. We here at the Dry Down are culture. We are community. I want you to always remember, stay balanced, stay bold, stay ambitious, and keep enhancing. I'll talk to you in the next video.